Hello folks, I come to you tonight on the eve of the American Independence Celebration, July 4th, to give a quarterly Purple Pegasus summer update for the people who care about it, that I see on the analytics, make it all the way to the end. I'm content with my little group of people who ride with me to it or whatever, in my unlikely journey through space and time, so I'm just out here letting anybody know what's up. If they want to know what's up with my life, they can fill in some blanks. I'm telling them where I'm going this summer and what my plans are and my intentions. Mary Jane's my girlfriend. So we're just out here, me and Mary Jane, having a time. And the Purple Pegasus summer, it is, if we create our own reality, why not? You can sit down and you can plan it out for yourself. You can write down your ideals, your goals, outcomes you want to have, things you want to accomplish, things you want to see, things you want to do. And you might fall short of some of them, but just having the idea in the first place is a start, and farther ahead than a lot of other people ever go with it. It's just like some people don't even have the free time or space to sit down and think about anything outside of the immediate reality. So I've always, maintained that connection. I've always kept a journal of things, and it's an alternate, it's a feedback loop, and it goes back into itself. You write down these things, and then maybe some of them happen, and then it comes back into the world, and it goes around like this. So the Purple Pegasus Summer is a program I've written out for myself. It's written on the back of other programs I've done in the past. I've been probably since 2017, writing out goals and things, and back and forth with myself about what I want to work on and what I want to accomplish. And you go over time, you chop out some of the excess, you get it down to a distilled science, and some of the stuff becomes like second nature, and you don't even have to think about it anymore. But Purple Pegasus Summer, it will also have its own original soundtrack. I've always been a composer, songwriter, singer, musician, whatever you want to say. My music, you maybe could say it's timeless. It doesn't fit into a trend or a movement or a time period or anything. And there's pros and cons to this. It might be that, again, you're timeless. You're not at the mercy of trends, but at the same time, you don't get the perks of them either. If you're just an EDM dance producer, that's a fill in the blank. You already have all the venues and connects, and it's already been, somebody's already done the work for you. But carving out your own unique path in the world, it's like you have to convince people and convince yourself. But at the same time, it's not that serious. It's just a addition. It's a supplementary thing to life. It's the ashes of life. So and that's going to be my company, my LLC, Purple Pegasus. And it will be an umbrella company that anything else can go into anything else. It'll be like Purple Pegasus company can be music, my album releases, poetry books you can self-publish, Redbubble, arts and crafts, anything, under these service banners. So everybody has these opportunities. You just have to free up your, energy and your time and your discipline to make your vision unravel in the world. It's not for everybody, but that'll be, my thing. And, if you have ideals, certain levels of quality markers you want to hit, your name will be synonymous with a certain vibe or feeling or quality. Like Firestone Tire was associated with the opposite for a while, but my biggest influence of that, of the corporate world, is Philips Company. Philips is very ubiquitous in our culture. You probably have 5 to 10 things of the Philips Company inside your house right now that you didn't even know about. And as ubiquitous as it is, no one's ever said, damn, I'm tired of seeing Philips logos everywhere, even though they actually are. So it's inconspicuous. It's not beating you over the head with it. They're synonymous with quality. You never heard big exposés on the disasters of the Philips Company or anything like this. Hair dryers, to vacuums, to light bulbs, to appliances, to a record label. The diversity is astounding with Philips Company. So, and they run a record label, and I started looking at certain records and artists, and that's be one of my life goals. Maybe it'll never happen, but if I could work with the Philips Company, I have raised to a certain level of quality that I can be accepted into their, world of quality that they go out into the world with to other people. You know, they don't just let anybody into Philips. Like Paco de Lucia has records released on Philips, so he got to be at least in Japan too. Paco was big in Japan. He's on Philips company. He's at a certain bar of quality that can't be denied or taken away from him of anything. Influencers or hype or whatever, that could be gone and here and gone tomorrow. But certain level you can get to where they can't, take anything like that. But if not, I'll have my own Purple Pegasus label that can work in, conjuncture with anybody else. Because I'll always do music as long as I can and want to. Because I have actually, a unique relationship to music. And you develop yourself, and the things you put into yourself come back out of you in the music as who you are and things like this. And I can do more music than people are aware of. Lyrics, composer, arranger, engineer, recording, guitar, whatever you want to say. And composers are a certain breed of person. Composers deal with raw materials of music on a different level. It's a discipline that is different. Composers, they deal intimately with the worlds of harmony and rhythm and resolution. So they have actually, a lot of times you could look at a composer that has a bigger view of the world and society, and it goes hand in hand. Harmony is actually making things come together in unison and work together in a complementary fashion, literally in the music. And then usually if they run a band, dealing with the personalities of those people, making them come together. So these are things inherent to the human race, actually, harmony and resolution and making people come together and stuff. And they're doing it in their medium. And I've done that too. I can be a good band leader, and resolution is, taking these moods and feelings and making them resolve in a way that is logical or pleasing or whatever, or novel or whatever you want to say. So you actually have to have some sort of ability and feeling and, actually have gone through the process of resolving things in your own life to really, have that come out in a certain unique and individualistic way to you as a resolution. And rhythm, rhythm is indicative of, if you're in tune with rhythm. Some people it's just like, we play in a punk band and we play, a million BPM and I just have to drink a lot of Red Bulls to keep up with it. But, music that is really indicative of who you are, could be with your natural breath rate and, actually the rhythm that you walk at or talk at or whatever, or, your little equations if you like to get into odd time signatures. Like I have some stuff like how I can make a monster run that is really, some sort of mathematical algebra equations and stuff like this. So, and Mary Jane is my girlfriend. That's a song that I'm going to be doing, So, and also, the world we live in is not separate from the artist and whatever they do. I would like to get in before the climate stuff gets, I'm sorry to say, if you don't believe the climate thing's real, we can agree to disagree. I don't want to, I want to make my point known. And, I just play it by ear, common sense, I don't go to one party or the other. Sometimes I'm too liberal for people and sometimes I'm too conservative for other people. It's just like, but I feel like if you're only one thing all the time, just across the board before even hitting an issue, it's like only having one tool in your toolbox. I have a hammer and that's it. When all you got's a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. So you need some other tools and apply things that, and they sort of, they're like a yin-yang of each other if you really think about it. And we only have a 50-50, coin toss of a thing anyway, but conservative and liberal, it's even implied in the name. Conservatives are conserving things, they're conserving money. Liberals are giving it all away, and it's a push and pull of that, So, with this climate thing, there's, I think people, it's sort of a surface level thing that people approach about politics. And I don't blame them. They don't have time of their life to dig into every single issue on a really deep, intricate level. But, if you do, you can realize that there's some, cut through the hype, cut through the media bullshit, cut through the talking heads, cut through the opinion journalists, and just get to the raw data, see what's going on in the world. This climate thing is real, people, okay? And what is it, these, record heat waves, increasing, tsunamis and floods and droughts and all these natural disasters that have been predicted, you know. And that factors into music because, you know, actually our instruments, you know, and me being a nylon string guitar player, you know, those guitars are actually subject to heat and humidity conditions. If this planet keeps coming up as a pressure cooker, you know, Jaco Pastorius started playing the electric bass because he lived in Florida, a very humid environment, and his stand-up upright wooden bass blew up. Actually, one of my guitar strings broke in the car today just from the heat, you know. So actually, it could get to a point that you couldn't even play. You'd have to make heat-resistant instruments, and it would be uncomfortable, and people would go to shows less. So, you know, there's all these incentives to want to do something about it. People, you know, I listen to what other people say. I feel like the teams don't listen to each other. They don't care about listening to each other. Just, you know, you can work with the teams if you listen to what the other is saying instead of just tunnel vision of your own thing. You know, they say, well, why has they keep predicting doomsday scenarios that never come true? We've lost faith, and that ain't scientists. Scientists of their worth their salt aren't really doing that. It's not what this is more like a media hype thing. I think the media probably does hype it up a little bit to be like, we better act quickly, but it's like, you know, the boy who cried wolf so many times I've been corresponding with NASA back and forth. I wrote letters to NASA about, like, you know, this is what people on the ground, this is a detriment to your outcomes. There are people, you know, that think that you're bullshitting them because they keep having these false predictions. And I got 2 responses back. There goes the fireworks. And the first lady said, actually, you know, what if we could make a campaign like that dispels this myth that is harming your outcome and give them, in a nice, palatable, meme-like fashion, a push towards the right information. And they said, that's a good idea. We actually are going to make a blog of that. Thank you for the idea. And the other one, she was like in a mini argument with me. She's like, that's not what we do. That's not true at all. And that's not, you know, I'm like, well, regardless if you feel like you're right or not, this is what people believe, and it's a hang up to people voting for your thing. And, you know, so. You know, this is the world we live in. You know, the government is it's an experiment. If we could govern ourselves, we would do it by this point, right? But we have to have people with the blueprint above us because we can't handle it on our own, I guess. You know, so. And so all these things factor in. Like, this is the 4th of July. I don't like the fireworks. You know, all the data is readily available. People are sharing more memes of the animals and the natural habitats are being harmed and affected, and even death with this, you know. They are sensitive It's like going into their nature world and, you know, flipping over tables and playing beer pong and pissing in the potted plants where the bees get their honey. It's just like, we're not kind to nature, and it's, you know, it's kicking back on us at this point, you know. And I don't blame people because, you know, it's just, they don't have bad intentions. It's just a society they've grown up into. You know, this is just who we are. This is America. But, you know, at the same time, I like the unity of families coming together, but at the same time, I make my point known that I don't like all the fireworks and stuff. And I don't like the whole idea of it anyway. This whole thing of war. You know, it's just like, basically the whole Independence Day celebration is war. We killed enough of the colonial rural people that we could come in and take their toys, you know, and you know, that's our heritage. That's what we're celebrating, and I don't align to it. I don't try to make excuses for it. I say it's a broken system, and I just don't support it. And unless, you know, you invest into it, it's, you know, you're more towards the solution or whatever. You keep opening yourself up to data about and information about getting out of it. And people say history repeats itself. That's just an axiom people throw out, but like, do people ever think of the mechanics of that? Why is it that, you know, history repeats itself? Because it's like AI. This is the history that's came before them. They can only draw from things that have happened before, and we keep promoting the war as a good idea, and violence is the answer, and this is how you solve it. So when they sit down and they open up their strategy books, you know, they say, like, what did we do in this war, and what, you know, make new history. It's like, you know, AI is, they're drawing upon our collective experiences that we've arrived to up at this point to make a, you know, general conclusion. It's like Kanye West, you know, some funk band of James Brown spent 10,000 hours perfecting their craft and getting the funkiest groove you ever heard. And then Kanye West comes in with a button to sample it and goes ding, and takes their whole effort, life's work, and just, pushes a button and it plays like karaoke, and he goes, like, material possessions and dirty sex and whatever. I sound like a boomer, but that's how I feel about it. I don't like all that culture stuff. It's harmful to the society, but it's no big deal really. But so you have to make new history. If you had some historical references about peace strategies and things like this, that would be history that repeats itself. That would be an angle people could draw back to. But the fireworks, these are sensitive animals. They have sensitive ranges of hearing. I have sensitive hearing just from being a musician and stuff. So, to them, we create our own world, and just beating up on animals like this and beating up on Mother Nature, and it just is not the way. I've been a sensitive, intuitive animal of my own self, because basically my whole trajectory of life has been shaped by having a head injury when I was a kid. I try not to dwell on it so much or complain about it to people so much, but it did make me a different person than other people, And basically in 7th grade there was a bully, and I stood up to him, and I was walking in front of him to go into the school, and he came up. He was very strong. I was an underweight, sickly child anyway, with scoliosis and ADHD and all these other things, so it was compounding problems. So he comes up behind me, a rabbit punched me in the back of the head. That's a punch that's illegal in boxing because it can kill people. So he got me down on the ground and was punching me in my spinal cord and brainstem really hard, probably 9 to 13 times. I bled out my nose from getting punched in the back of the head, folks. It's probably brain bleed, definitely a concussion, and it fucked up my whole spinal cord, and my body, went the opposite direction. I was literally curved in a different direction than the rest of it. I started falling asleep in class. I started having mood swings. Things started changing for me. And what happened was, I was actually, because your spinal cord and brainstem is connected to your motor function, your cerebellum and coordination and stuff. So actually, it jacked up my whole coordination system, and I detached from my body at that point. So I call it Stephen Hawking light. All my energy of life condensed up into my mind and my thoughts. I basically lived in my mind with, a rickety old body dragging it along. And in spite of this is the way that I've done these things and had careers and everything I've done in life. But it's been in, physical pain. My whole life has been oriented of physical pain. And actually, I do have mystical experiences and otherworldly spiritual experiences. And some people don't believe this. And I just let it come out. Sometimes I elaborate on it, but other times not, because people get freaked out by it. But as you go along, you unravel more of what these things mean. If you want to, I call it undiscovered science. What seems, gravity was a mystical, supernatural occurrence to people with less information before. So there are things that I've tapped into before it's become like a describable thing, like psychic or synchronistic or other things, just otherness. So actually though, I did see you get more pieces of the puzzle unraveled to you as you go along. And I saw something that really made a lot of sense to me. And there are people that in institutes that study this stuff on a scientific level as much as it could be, pulling data and looking at it from integrated perspectives and all this stuff. So, one guy I saw on a podcast remarked that a lot of people who have these experiences have had traumatic physical injuries. And some people would say, oh, that just means mental illness. No, I'm not a crazy person. I have been, leadership positions and, whatever. I've had a normal life to that degree, but at the same time. But basically, it's theorized, or extrapolated that, we have layers of, you have your skin, your muscle, your bone, but then, all of these people from different religious backgrounds over the trajectory of the entire history have, said there's something of a soul or an astral body. And then people who have really traumatic physical injuries, something of your astral body gets knocked out of place or activated or whatever you want to say. I don't know if that's just like an accidental thing, like your astral body, oops, you accidentally just knocked your soul into, it's coming out your nose now or whatever, or however it works, or is that like a foolproof thing where if you do have some sort of ailment or you're knocked off track, that this becomes an heightened, like other people have heightened senses who are blind or whatever you want to say. It works to fill in the gaps for them, So with that, and, that gives into whole debates on spirit levels about did you choose this in a life before or whatever, I don't know. But, learning to work with it at the same time. I've been subjected to magical experiences that other people haven't had, but I've been an unlikely person. That's why I like dating. I've had a relationship to women as long as I've been, puberty or whatever you want to say, and I've had serious relationships, sometimes 3 years long or whatever, but at this time, I'm still in a even as I'm in my 30s, I'm still in a developmental stage, and I just don't think it's in the cards for me right now, unless it was something, over the World Plague pandemic, I dated, a couple cougars, and it went from enjoyable to still friends to totally bad to somewhere in the middle, so I don't know. So all these things of life, but so it's all coming together, and I have my Purple Pegasus summer outline made, and if anybody who wants to follow along, I don't know, I'm not the greatest social media person. I guess I don't really care that much about being an influencer, but I am going to whatever's, because I have a real life and I'm content in it as time goes on, and with the ashes of that go out into the world, if people pick them up or they don't, whatever, so, and like my music, like I don't have like a trend or a group of like-mindeds that I can just ride along with. We're all in the punk scene together. It's just me alone on my Purple Pegasus horse, but at the same time, the people who really are there, they really want it. It's not like they're just getting it for free, so it's kind of a thing. Like, there are people that have been hyped up. They have 50,000 followers, and they show their boobs or something that is appealing, but nobody buys their albums. But over time, incrementally, I've sold $800 plus on my Bandcamp. I pick up my energy and I take it places, and I run into people, and my energy of that time, when I have it all developed and perfectly formulated to go out into the world, you can get new fans each time you bring your energy out, or reignite that thing in the same ones you had before, so it's the Purple Pegasus summer. If I knock it, if I land it, do a kickflip, if I kickflip and land this will be, I'll go to a new plateau, and anybody who cares, the album will come out along with it, so, and I want to record it live. I want to either record it in Montreal, Miami, or New York City, so I'm gonna get my songs together, and anybody who wants to get on board, I'm going to these magical domains whether nobody follows me or not, but if you want to follow, that would be my plan, so have a safe and happy 4th if you made it this far, and I'm gonna ride my Pegasus into the sunset here tonight, and I'll catch you on the flip side.